ذوق سفر، اے ذوق سفر خیر ہو نزدیک ہے منزل، اے ذوق سفر خیر ہو، اے ذوق سفر خیر ہو نزدیک ہے منزل، سب کہتے ہیں اب پاؤں میں چھالے نہ رہیں گے، سب کہتے ہیں اب پاؤں میں چھالے نہ رہیں گے، جن نالوں کی ہو جائے گی تا دوست رسائی، جن نالوں کی ہو جائے گی تا دوست رسائی، وہ سانحے بن جائیں گے نالے نہ رہیں گے،
Good.
وہ سانحے بن جائیں گے نالے نہ رہیں گے۔ میں توبہ تو کر لوں، میں توبہ تو کر لوں مگر ایک بات ہے واعظ، میں توبہ تو کر لوں مگر ایک بات ہے واعظ، کیا آج سے گردش میں پیالے نہ رہیں گے، کیا آج سے گردش میں پیالے نہ رہیں گے، کیوں ظلمت غم سے ہو خمار نے پریشاں، کیوں ظلمت غم سے ہو خمار اتنے پریشاں، بادل یہ ہمیشہ ہی تو کالے نہ رہیں گے، بادل یہ ہمیشہ ہی تو کالے نہ رہیں گے، آنکھوں کے چراغوں میں اجالے نہ رہیں گے، آ جاؤ کہ پھر دیکھنے والے نہ رہیں گے۔ شکریہ۔
بہت خوب، ویری گڈ. سو
اس بار کیسا آواز برابر آ رہی تھی اور تصویر بھی آ رہی
ٹھیک ہے، ٹھیک ہے، ٹھیک ہے، سب
ٹھیک؟
کچھ ٹھیک ہے. آپ اگر ایک
اچھا
اور کوئی سنانا چاہیں تو سنائیں. اب محمود صاحب بھی نہیں آئے.
اگر اچھا ہاں میرے پاس ایک اور غزل ہے لیکن اور کوئی ہے تو وہ سنا لے، لیکن میرے پاس ہے ایک غزل۔
امجد صاحب آپ میوٹڈ ہیں اور آپ کی تصویر بھی نہیں ہے.
اچھا
آپ شروع کیجئے تصدق بھائی.
اچھا تو ایک یہ غزل ہے، شاہ جہاں بانو تخلص ہے یاد، یاد دہلوی کی ایک غزل سماعت فرمائے۔ ہنس دیے ہم کو دونوں جہاں دیکھ کر، ہنس دیے ہم کو دونوں جہاں دیکھ کر، چپ رہے ہم تجھے بدگماں دیکھ کر، چپ ہے ہم تجھے بدگماں دیکھ کر، اس نشے من کی عظمت نہ پوچھے کوئی، اس نشے من کی عظمت نہ پوچھے کوئی، سر جھکا دے جسے بجلیاں دیکھ کر، سر جھکا دے جسے بجلیاں دیکھ کر، اپنی مجبوریاں ہم بتاتے کسے، اپنی مجبوریاں ہم بتاتے کسے، رہ گئے جانب آسماں دیکھ کر، رہ گئے جانب آسماں دیکھ کر، گردش وقت گردش وقت بھی مجھ سے کترا گئی، گردش وقت بھی مجھ سے کترا گئی، میری راہوں کی دشواریاں دیکھ کر، میری راہوں کی دشواریاں دیکھ کر، میری غیرت نے ساحل کو ٹھکرا دیا، میری غیرت نے ساحل کو ٹھکرا دیا، موج طوفان کی بےتابیاں دیکھ کر، موج طوفان کی بےتابیاں دیکھ کر، ان کا دامن بھی اے یاد نم ہو گیا، ان کا دامن بھی اے याद नम हो गया, मेरी आंखों से आंसू रवां देख कर, मेरी आंखों से आंसू रवां देख कर, हंस दिए हमको दोनों जहां देख कर, चुप रहे हम तुझे बदगुमा देख कर। शुक्रिया।
Very good, very good. So we have time, but let me ask Amjad Saab, would you like to recite some poetry? If you can.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम। नहीं, मेरे पास कुछ
Oh,
नहीं। मैं तो माचू पिचू का प्रोग्राम कब शुरू होगा वो देखने आया था।
अभी 5 मिनट में होता है। अभी करते हैं। अमजद भाई, I didn't recognize because your picture is not there. आपकी I got your email, and this week may be a little bit of an issue. I'll let you know after talking to Nasreen.
ठीक है।
How are you doing?
ठीक है कुछ।
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So we are going to start. A couple other people are coming. I know Asim is coming. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming to this program. This program was started by Wahi Siddiqui almost 5-6 years ago, and every month we had it. Earlier it was in person, but with COVID, we are for last 1 year we have been doing it on Zoom. And seems like it, if everything opens up next month, we'll do it in Chandni. If Chandni opens up, then we'll do it like we used to do just before COVID. So that will be better. More people used to come over there because there were snacks over there also. So let me just introduce our speaker here. Roberto Gonzalez is here. He, Nasreen Guli and Guli Nasreen, and they work together. He is the current president of Professional Photographers of Santa Clara Valley. This is a very old organization, like almost 1949 it started. And as you know, generally photographers in last, because of the digital camera and iPhone and iPad, is not that easy for photographers to do their job in there. And many of the Santa Clara Bay Area or other photography organization closed down, except this one. And the whole credit goes to Roberto, because he came about 6 or 7 years ago. He revived the organization. He got a lot of new members there. They do a lot of monthly programs. If you go to ppscv.com, they have a calendar. You can become a member. Even if you are not a photographer, you can still become a member. So talking about Roberto, he's a professional photographer. He does wedding, family, and other events in there. He goes to a lot of places, and he presented this Machu Picchu in one of the PPSCV program. So I knew about that, so I asked Roberto to present here, because last time we did it, the Travelogue of Niger area, which Kamar presented. So with further ado, let me just have Roberto start, and he'll share his screen. He has lots and lots of photos. He might go a little bit faster because otherwise we'll spend 5 hours here. Roberto, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for, can everybody hear me? Yes, okay. Well, thank you.
Oh, yes, I hear you.
Thank you for the invitation. And as I haven't mentioned, it's about 350 pictures. I had more than that. I had to start culling down less, but I didn't manage to do more. So I will be matching my time. I'm going to have a timer to see more or less how I'm doing. So to help me speed the process up if we have to, or maybe even skip a few slides or go a little bit faster. I will be talking while I show the images. I will start by telling you basically how I started this trip. I made this presentation for professional photographers. That was not the intent when I went to this trip to do a presentation, but I was asked to do one. So I set them up together, all together. So I have a little bit of explanations about what I went through, and then I will start with the images. So I'm gonna share small, let's see if I find my buttons here. I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, can you enable me? Okay, so basically, I got some of my explanations shorter too. Anytime I plan a trip, what are the things that I really look for? Basically, weather, what does the landscape looks like, local customs, what to do, not to do, accommodations, where I'm gonna stay, transportation, what are the options, any health-related issues, vaccinations, preventive, medical services, just to be prepared, just in case something happens. And again, since I'm a photographer, and this is one of the main reasons for going is, are there any restrictions for what I do? So what did I find? Well, there's no professional photography allowed in Machu Picchu. That was a bummer. So no tripods, no self sticks. So you have to look just like a regular person, just taking pictures for yourself. Again, you need to reserve your entrance to Machu Picchu in advance. You can get a 4-hour pass with a timestamp. And there are only 400 people that are allowed to Huyana Pichu Mount every day, similar to other hikes from the Citadel. So at the time that I did this research, it was about 1,500 to 3,000 people who visit Machu Picchu per day. It's a lot of people. I think it's going up.
So can I ask a quick question there?
Sure.
You're saying that there's no selfie sticks allowed either?
No selfie sticks. One of the reasons, again, is I saw some couples, even there's some guards there who will tell you, put it out and you leave the place. You're by the cliff and you have a selfie stick looking down, step back. It's really dangerous if you're gonna be able to go down the cliff. Many people, a few people always, since it's in a really high altitude, there's a cliff on the side, it's also not good.
Okay.
I guess one of the reasons. So you can hike the Inca Trail to the Machu Picchu or ride by train. There's hundreds of miles of Inca Trail that you can do, but it takes a week or longer to get there. Again, most consumables are transported to Machu Picchu town by train. They don't produce most anything. You drink bottled water, be prepared for potential altitude sickness. Night stay ranges from $12 to $3,000 per day. So it's a wide range for everybody who wants to go.
Wow.
Again, prices are for backpackers and for complete package. It's a huge range. Cusco is the getaway to Machu Picchu. That's basically when you start there. It is recommended that you take a day to travel from Lima to Cusco to allow your body to acclimate to high altitude. Many tour companies cover this route by bus. Again, the airport at Cusco is a capacity, handles up to 2.5 million people per year, almost 7,000 per day. And there's a quote that I got from a magazine. Landing and taking off in Cusco is spectacular, but not for the faint-hearted. As from the Peru hub. A new airport at Chinchero, 30 kilometers away, is expected to open in 2040 with a max capacity of 8 million people. It's going to ruin the area if they do that. There's a lot of controversy for this airport to do. So if anybody wants to go, I would recommend to do it before they open the new airport. Cusco has a rich mix of Inca and colonial architecture. It was considered the center of the world by the Incas. There are a lot of Inca ruins in between Cusco and Machu Picchu, and I'll show some images about that. You can find numerous day trips to these local destinations. As for food, I was ready to try the colorful potatoes varieties, which they have quite a bit. Armando, one of our members, recommended me, he's been from Peru. He recommended me to try these three things: alpaca, ceviche, and cuy. I tried two. Ceviche is made of seafood fish, so I'm not into that too much. So I just kind of skipped that one. But I'll show some images of what I had. This is my trip. Arrive by air to Cusco, allow time for acclimatations to high altitude. Take the train to Machu Picchu town, formerly Aguascalientes. Take a round trip to the Citadel by minibus. Explore the area. Sorry. I need to get my timer set. Okay. Return to Cusco, explore the area again, return to the US. It was a short trip, 7 days and 10 nights. Oh, misspelled, typo. Sorry for that. What did I have in my luggage? I had a consumer camera. It's a Nikon 3500 with 18 to 50 mm zoom kit lens, so it doesn't look too professional. Homedics pulse oximeter to find out my oxygenation. Ultraviolet light and water container just in case I need to sanitize the water. I had some high altitude pills because I didn't know how high altitude will affect me. Preventive antibiotics provided by my doctor just in case. Hooded light and rain jacket, but this is almost the end of the rainy season, but it could be raining all the time, which it did. And hand sanitizer, just some of the essentials. So let's take a look at some maps and charts. Peru has 33 million people. Lima, 10.5. Cusco is just about 500,000 people. Sorry, 5,000 people. 500. Machu Picchu, or the town, is about 5,000. Mostly catered to the tourists. It was settled in 1901. So you can see the population growth as of 2020, right? So this was the way I flew. I took Alaska from SFO to LAX, and from there you took LATAM to LAX to Lima. And from Lima, I took LATAM again to Cusco. I went from sea level, zero altitude to 11,000 feet in Cusco. So that's why I had to take some pills for high altitude. Again, Peru has three regions: the coast, the Andes, and the rainforest. And Cusco, it's basically kind of in between the Andes and the rainforest. So it's a lot of jungle in there. So the annual average, the temperature in Cusco, as you can see, I chose to go in April. It's 68, the highest temperature, and 44, the lower temperature. It's kind of steady. It's actually on the cooler side. And on the bottom, you can see the when it rains, mostly December, January, February, March, April is when it starts ending. Some of the routes for the Inca routes are not open during the rainy season. It's only when it stops raining that they are open. Again, kind of where it is. Colombia, you see the Amazon's close to it, Bolivia, Ecuador, and some of the mountain ranges. You see how Cusco is in high altitude in the Andes. And again, the area that I selected to travel was the Sacred Valley. It's basically between Cusco and Machu Picchu. This is the high altitude chart. So the places that I plan to visit and or not visit. You can see Lima is almost at zero. And then you go to Cusco, it's 11,000. Chinchero, which is where they plan to open the airport, is even higher than Cusco. Urubamba, one place on the route. This is the route that I took, basically from Lima all the way to Machu Picchu. So Ollantaytambo is the place where I switched from a bus to a train. And then you go to Aguascalientes, which is low level, below 8,000 feet. Machu Picchu, the citadel, is basically around 8,000 feet. Some of the mountains, the peaks, Around there, it's almost close to 9,000. But some of the higher mountains, Rainbow Mountain, tourist destination is 17,000 feet. It's really high. There's a huge lake also, incredible lake, bluish water with high peaks, with snow on the peaks, all that. It's another day trip that you take. It's again almost 14,000 feet. And the highest mountain, Nevado Huascarán, it's about 22,000 feet. It's really, really high elevation. So this was kind of my trip. From Cusco to Machu Picchu is about 50 miles. You know, it's really short, but it takes about 3 hours to get there. I mean, it depends on how you travel, but even though I bought the ticket for a train, I was taken from Cusco to Ollantaytambo by bus. You can see one of those mini buses. It took about a couple of hours to get there with no stops, you know? And from there, for Ollantaytambo to Aguascalientes, it took 1 hour and a half by train. The train follows the bed of the river, that is Tambo River. When we get to Aguascalientes, and from Aguascalientes, you move to Machu Picchu, and you see some of the altitude levels. Chinchero, you can see right close to Cusco where Chinchero district is, and that's where the new airport is going to be. You have high peaks around it. Even the military doesn't want to put a base there, an air base, you know, they refuse to do that. And it's been an incredible amount of people that oppose building its airport because it's going to ruin. When you quadruple the number of people attending this place, constructions, hotels, services, what have you, trash, it's going to ruin the place. So let's look at some information. I'm going to stop this screen, and I'm going to start a new program.
So I just send a chat. You can ask the questions via chat, and we'll take it up after the presentation is finished, and Roberto can answer that.
Yep, thank you. So again, this is, can everybody see the screen? Yes, I believe so. Okay, so here.
Yeah, I can see it. I see it.
So this is Cusco. You can see the high peaks around it. And you can see the airport, kind of a strip, green strip, right, with this is Huanchac. It's almost like 1/4 of the length of the Cusco. And so I'll go through a couple of things. What he says is not for the faint of heart, the trip to Cusco. Let's see. So this is the plane. If you see the arrow, this is a picture from the heights with the plane landing. The plane comes around and makes among these peaks. It makes a lot of turns. People who have flown there before, you probably remember. But that's the plane coming into Cusco. You see where the arrow is. And it's about to make a really sharp U-turn right there at that point, right? It's very close to the hills. Keeps coming down and eventually approaches the airport. You can see right here to my left, little white plane and landing in the airport in Cusco. After I land in Cusco, then I took a taxi that took me to downtown. This is the plaza downtown where basically I chose my accommodations. And if you can see where the flag is, and the church on the right-hand side, that alleyway, that's where I had my first accommodations, my first hotel. It was raining, so as you can tell, so something to watch for. Stacy is looking down. If I look into between the church and this, well, right with it, you know, right in the center, going into, you see the alleyway. The church is on the right, and you see this wall. As you can see in Cusco, the actual ruins from the Incas, they use as foundation for the walls in some of the new construction. Some of them, they didn't get demolished, but they just reuse them. And it's you will see amazed at the perfection of this, the cuts on these rocks and the work that they did on these rocks. So if I get into my hotel, I'm sorry, that's coming into the hotel. From that wall you come into, and you can see Starbucks right there. So it wasn't too far away from a coffee. My hotel was to the right. There's mini hotels here. There's about 3 or 4 different mini hotels with 10 rooms, I think they have, everyone, something like that. So this is looking out into the alleyway. And of course, they greet you with some coca leaves. They say they will help you with high altitude. And you can see the oxygen tank on the back in the corner for people who really need it. So every hotel typically has one of them for you to use them. So this is going into my room to the 2nd floor, and it's looking down. And as you step back from there, you know, you can see that, and you look around and you can see they're nice accommodation. It's about $40, $40 for a night, not expensive whatsoever. And it's really good service, excellent service. I recommend that one. And we'll probably go back on April next year, and we'll probably stay in the same place. This is the 2nd hotel that I stayed because they didn't have enough rooms when I wanted to extend my day. So I had to look another one around the plaza, the Central Plaza. Is you know, not as good as the other one, but they're decent. It's about $35, a little bit cheaper than the other one. So this is looking down into downtown from the hills. You can see the plaza. Let me see if I can zoom in. You can see the plaza here. There's a lot of churches around, a lot of red roof tiles. I mean, tile roofs. And I was right close to it, right in the center where I was staying at the beginning. You see kind of a valley, what you see. It's interesting to look at it. It still looks like an old Spanish town. So it's a little bit of a close-up. You can see that there's a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 churches around just in the core of downtown. And there's a huge market right there with the red roof, but you can go there and show you some images. Again, looking down into from a little bit different altitude. This is from the opposite view, looking into that. If I took this picture, and this is looking that way. This is San Blas Church right on the top, and I'll show you some images there too. Again, this is in Central Plaza. From another view, you know, this on the left-hand side, you have a lot of shops, shops and restaurants, and, you know, boutiques and stuff like that. Again, just taking an
Excuse me, we are not seeing. Excuse me, Roberto, we are not seeing the screen that you're talking about.
Can you see the images?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm seeing the image.
Is somebody not seeing the image?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the images.
Maybe you need to restart or refresh your screen.
Okay.
Ibrahim Saib, can you hear?
Okay,
can you see this?
I can see the picture completely.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, sometimes it happens that somebody doesn't get to see the images. All right. So again, this is the same plaza at night. Still activity, even late at night, there's a lot of people on the streets. And they tend to close the street for traffic in the center. So this is after the rain, so a lot of people went out and then they came back. So if you look at, I love the architecture. You see these balconies everywhere, really elaborate work. They really caught my eye. And this is one of the things I recommend you when you go there the first day is to eat something light because your metabolism is not going to be working as hard. So they want you to do something really light so you don't, you know, so take it easy. Otherwise, you may have some stomach issues. So I went to a restaurant right along the right-hand side. You see these archways. To my right, there's an entrance to a restaurant. There's many restaurants out there. You see the balconies on top too. So this is the entrance. This is a Peruvian restaurant that was recommended to me. Really nice grounds inside. And you walk in and it's really modern. You even have a bar. You see all the car liquor on the walls. You turn around and then you have the Syrian area. This was my meal, you know, kind of clear soup with some white rice and some basic water, bottled water. Um, that's what I had. That's what I was recommended to have the first day. And this is from the plaza into some of the top places where there's a lot of restaurants. All those balconies are used, and people really like to stay there and watch and chat and see the activities down. You know, people watching. I love the looks of the colors and shapes and balconies and doors. There's too many for me to show. I'm gonna show a few of them, the different ones. There's really elaborate. These are the streets on the from the plaza, and there's also many shops around there. Shops everywhere, you know, from the locals and low end to high end. And again, many restaurants on the streets. You can see money exchange right on the corner, right by the plaza. So if you need to have your money changed, then you can find everything. Travel agencies, many around there, many small. You can take many small trips, and you can go around. There's many places, and there's also vendors on the streets hawking, advertising some of those trips. This a little bit to the side. One of the other churches. Details on the doors, the architecture. I just love this architecture. And then just walking past this, going towards the market. Keep walking. Narrow streets, you know, cobblestone streets or paved streets, paved stones, really narrow ones. And then you get to the market. So open air market. And there's some portions that are covered. All kinds of wares that you can go buy. San Pedro Market. You know, it's all kinds of products like hidden between the bushes of seeds. They have very local artists. These local artists created incredible artwork. It was all her artwork. And they come to these places, and I don't know if anybody can see, but I got my little owl. The one she's having in her hands. That's all I could travel because I have small luggage. But I would love to have some of those ones. All her artwork is there. So vendors everywhere. Nice nighttime. It's just walking around alleyways. These are some UNESCO sponsor shops where the artwork is just incredible. The quality is just incredible as well. And then you can have food vendors on the street as well. This is another plaza with colorful fountains. So this is what you see everywhere. And also, you know, for nighttime, even salsa dancing, you're gonna go there. It's just a little bit of details of what I like, you know, photography-wise, things that caught my eye. I only have a few samples of the work that it's a mix of, you know, Native Americans and Spaniards. So this again, just the views on the streets from different places. They also have great museums, art museums. I didn't get to see many of them, no time, too short, but they have all kinds of art, modern or old. And they have examples of the different regions in Peru, like the offerings for the gods, the Andean gods. And you can see on the map where the areas are located. This is unification of different ethnic groups. This is the route to the Amazons. And this is the route for the Brothers Sayar, where they have these hanging bridges. And everywhere you look into, you can see all kinds of shops. That's another church on the hills. And I'm going to be going up, walking all the way to the top. So this is Babe Streets. These are the school kids coming out of school, basically going up home. So cobblestone streets. You can see there's a taxi driver getting the worst from some of the tourists, helping them get into the taxi so they can go back home. Really narrow alleyways. Getting close to the church, all this stonework. This lady charged you $5 to take a picture of her. So I guess that was $10 right there. I took a couple more and she wanted more because she says you press the shutter quite a few times. Says, no, I only took 2 pictures, and I show her. It says, really. And this is continuing to climb all the way to the top. And it's good exercise. You know, people coming back from work. This is the different houses, adobe walls, higher up. You know, you can see adobe walls. And that's another place, another church, another plaza. You saw the water fountains before with colors at night. So they have a lot of artwork houses right on top. This is another artisan's plaza. And again, native people dress just like that. And I guess that many groups have different hats. So every ethnic group has a different hat, and they do wear them. You can see people dressed like that all over the place. And there's the lady who was charging me $5, taking pictures. This is just coming back into town. Now, another place that I visit is Cori Cancha. It's a place that has a church and some old Inca ruins. And this is looking from the bottom up. You see the church, the grounds, and inside you can see a lot of Inca ruins. Some of those walls also are still part of the Inca walls. Kind of a close-up. This is at night. And this is inside some of the remnants of these places. I was told by some of the guys that the location of the stones, they have a mathematical, they say a Fibonacci series, but I couldn't really see quite the analogy of the different size of the blocks where they were placed. And so the walls are 30-degree angles, sustain earthquakes. And and they have the offerings of those hallways right there. And this is another look of the precision. I was impressed, totally impressed by the buildings they have designed. It's just incredible. Something to be seen. And I guess the little protrusions are supposed to be constellations on the walls. I didn't have another pictures to show that. This is outside those incredible walls. Now, this is supposed to be the center of the earth. In Espanol, it's el ombligo del mundo. That's kind of the umbilical point of, the tummy of the world. That way, Cusco was the center of the universe. So you can see that right in the center, kind of a protrusion. It's kind of a cut where people put the fingers in because they say give you power. So it's all, I wasn't gonna put my finger, but people did. So that's what it looks like. I guess it's incredible how technology they use to really have this precision. I mean, if I zoom in a little bit, you see there's no mortar in between, and you can hardly put a credit card or anything else in between. And this is really tiny. It's really thick all the way through the wall. It's just incredible. I took this picture because when the Spaniards came, they started knocking down these walls and used those stones to create their own architecture. But you can see the difference on the right-hand side, how precise geometrically precise this. And then you see the ones on the left when they use mortar. And I guess an earthquake came in and knocked this down, but the walls of the Inca remain. I guess you believe it's supposed to be covered with gold. This is an example of how the walls were covered with gold, according to the guides. So it was a sight to see. Another place close to Costco is Kawayaman. And you're right there on the hills. It's another day trip. That's from the top. They have some crosses there. I forgot some other nation donated that statue to the Peruvians. I don't remember who that was. So as you look down, you can see some of the touristy buses that bring you where they have artisans building stuff from wool from the llamas, the llamas, and some of those animals as well. So this is just another view, a close-up of the crosses. Some of the pathways, the weird trees that you can see on the hills, and some of the animals they have around. This is looking from that hill down, and you can see kind of a fortress look like to your left, all that wall, and then we get closer to it. As we come down, you can get closer to these walls, these ruins. Now this is from the other side. From the other side, it's kind of a courtyard, and then you see these walls here. Controversy whether it was a fortress or a place of praying. So get a little bit closer, right? You can see people for the difference in size of these gigantic rugs. How do they carry them? Because they were not local. How do they carve them? I mean, it's just mind-boggling. I haven't been able to answer those things. It's incredible walls. You can see the hand of the puma, the cougar, right? You see the 4 fingers on top, the paw, and the kind of the extension of the arm of the puma. I guess they worship that. That's just for size reference. I don't know, I forget how many tons. And they have many angles. You know, those rocks in between, they have so many angles. Some of them are about 12 angles. The rock has 12 angles. Be able to cut them up and shave them, and it's just mind-boggling. It's more of that wall. More of that wall as well. This is another location, kind of a, I believe the way explained to me was kind of a checkpoint when people were coming west from different locations. This is where they were registered as they were coming through this route on the Inca Trail. This is from the one on the side, another view into the valley. Another view into the valley. You know, more views. These are the people who, you know, around there. This is another side. This is getting dark. This is already dark. Also, I increased the light in the picture. This is where I start feeling a little bit the effects of high altitude, because the guy was rushing everybody to move fast, and I was keeping pace with the guide. But I started getting a light headache and some, you know, uneasiness. And I realized that high altitude was affecting me. So I had to stay back and sit in one of these benches until I recover and keep moving. And I guess this is the place where they have some water springs and you know, waterfalls. After that, it's basically taking the trip again to Aguascalientes. You've seen this screen before. It's basically, you know, about 3.5 hours to get there, almost 4 hours for 50 miles. So this is the train station where they greet you when you get your tickets, and then you take off in a minibus that takes you around. And this is the valley. This is the valley where they basically cultivate you know, their habits, all the products. And this is the Chinchero, where they plan to build the airport. And they have some textile centers where you can buy all kinds of stuff that they build, they make there. Transportation, motorcycles, like taxi motorcycles. Again, a view of the valley. A view of the valley. A view again. You can see the high peaks on the end. They had, some of them had snow still there. We're coming into another town. We just passed by this town. We don't really stop here. But again, you see the high peaks. And you can see some of the train lines. I don't know exactly which ones they were. So this is Ollantaytambo. This is where you take the train, you stop here, and then it's time to get into the train station. And there's basically three lines: the red one, which is mostly for locals, the blue one, and the green one. I took the green line. It's the Inca rail, the 360, the different levels, you know, the different levels, the basic level, middle, and high level train station, trains. This is the interior. They're really comfortable, really nice. Some of them have the top. On the top, you can see, because you can see through on the top, not this particular one. You start tracing along this river when you go to Machu Picchu, and the vegetation will start changing. So you start seeing more of a jungle, more forest, more jungle as you take the train. Eventually you get to Aguascalientes. Aguascalientes, you see, has basically, you see on the bottom the Urubamba River, kind of a horseshoe at the bottom. And then you see another one coming from like Aguascalientes name. That's another river. And then you have another coming from the right, another from the center. They all merge into the Urubamba River. And this is where about 5,000 people live. And they basically cater to the tourists for the most part. There's a huge open market center here to the right of Aguascalientes name. I'll show you some pictures there. So again, this is getting off the train to the train station. It's just right by the buildings, right? This is the widest sidewalk that you can see there where the train goes to. And if you were to look up, you walk past to my back towards where I am, you come to this place and you can see the river coming down from the hills. And that's where most people live, right along the side of the river. That's looking back into the train station. Looking into the hills. It's just right up your nose, right there. This is the hotel that I stayed in. Another $40 per night. It's a really nice hotel. Right outside, you see the river, and right in front of you, you see the mountain. It's from outside. Again, looking back towards town and towards the different hills. This is the river or the creek that runs along the side of the hotel. Vegetation around it. These are some of the streets on the side, perpendicular to the river. Narrow streets. Again, this is along on the top of the train station. The train station is basically your right on the bottom. It's another level high. And to your left is where you see the market, where you see all kinds of products like this, the ones you see here. This is what you see inside, lots and lots. It's huge. All kinds of products. Again, this is many aisles and aisles of these products. And again, this is looking from the top down into the train station. That's looking down into the train station. Restaurants everywhere. This is when I tried one of the foods that they asked me to do, which is the alpaca. It was a meal by the river, right in front of the train station. Gorgeous, incredible food, high end. It's one of the best meals I ever had. Again, this is at night. This is all restaurants, activity going on. You can see the train. I never seen the train tracks right by the sidewalks. At night, late night, when the locals start bringing goods and supplies into town, and they have these little carts where they carry them inside. And again, nightlife. This is another plaza, small plaza, where they have many hotels. Here, this place is a lot of locations for kids who just have, students. A lot of hostels. Part of the mini plaza. Again, these streets are parallel to the river. The river is on the right-hand side, so this is one street, and then you go up the hill. Again, all different kind of restaurants, nice ambience, nice colors. They have a lot of artwork, local artwork around town. Again, this is the train at night coming back into town. This is Kui. One of the meals, and I was asked to do it, they have a cover with a big plate. They opened it up and I saw it, says, what am I going to do with this? I never had something like this before. So it's an acquired taste, but it's supposed to be a delicacy. It's guinea pig, Kui. But this for me was better since I have a sweet tooth. The chef is prepared something really nice, desserts. So now, again, another look. This is the place that people go to Machu Picchu. These buses run every 15 minutes, like I think 7 o'clock in the morning, something like that, until 5 o'clock at night, something like that. So every 15 minutes, they take up to 30 people, I think, inside. So people just form a line right there, right, to go. This is from that looking up and looking down into that bus station. Again, part of the river, going, leaving Aguascalientes. It's Machu Picchu. That's looking back into Machu Picchu town or Aguascalientes. Nice gardens, nice view. It's, vegetation. Looking back into Aguascalientes, you can see those mountains right there. It's just gigantic. This is a path. The path is unpaved, right? The road is dirt road, and sometimes it's just basically enough for one car to go by, but people take this straight walking as well. Again, to go to Machu Picchu, you leave Aguascalientes, and eventually the zigzagging is basically where the cars, the little minibuses take all the way to the top. It's all the way, zigzag all the way to the top. Where you see the Urubamba River by this white line, there's a trail that takes you all the way to the top. It's about 1,200 feet elevation. 1,200 feet from the bottom of the river all the way to the top to get to the citadel. And you can see how the Urubamba River goes around the hills. Huyana Pichu, where about 400 people can climb per day with a permit. You have to buy tickets in advance. And then top Machu Picchu mountain is on the other side. So there's trails that take you both sides. So again, leaving Machu Picchu, just kind of the views as you keep going along. Keep walking along, right? That trail, this is something that collapsed and they rebuilt it. You can see, again, walking along that trail. This is a place where, I'm not sure if it's still there. It's a butterfly sanctuary where they were trying to restart the program for at-risk butterflies where they continue to be extinguished. It's for extinction. It's a program that needed lots of resources and it was on danger of just basically disappearing. But it's nice grounds where they hatch butterflies. It's along the river. So they have a lot of butterflies here, different species, right? This is the eggs, and when they hatch, they feed them, and they let them grow here. This is what the guy is showing us here, that this is protection against predators. It looks like an owl. You can see the eyes of the owl, you can see the beak and the mouth of the owl, right? So birds don't eat them. This is a snake. You can see on the left-hand side the eyes and the mouth and how it swirls around. It's supposed to be a rattlesnake. This is a dead leaf, you know, so they match the flowers. It looks like every butterfly has a different flower from which these are some of the different flowers that they have in the area. And every butterfly fits from one specific flower. And I was told there's about 200 species of butterflies, and most of them are disappearing because your UV protection screens that you have to basically is toxic to the butterflies. So you need to use something that is organic. And so it's, again, this is the map of Machu Picchu, the citadel. This is the way it looked when I get in. It was foggy all around. You can really see this picture has been enhanced to get rid of some of the fog. This is what you see, crowds everywhere, crowds everywhere, crowds everywhere. This is most likely the way it was when I came into the morning. It was around 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. So you see crowds everywhere. So this is basically what I saw when I came in. And this is when it cleared. So it's kind of a fisheye view of the area. Oops. So this is again started raining. So this is the rain clears some of these things. So this is going up on the side. Some of these images have been rearranged, so I apologize for that. It doesn't have the proper sequence. But this is going up into one of the mountains. If you go into Machu Picchu to my left, there's a really path and another tall mountain to the right-hand side. I forgot the names. So you see a lot of llamas out there. I had to wait quite a bit of time, you know, so I don't see the crowds there. This is just, the views are spectacular. Spectacular views. It's just, you take your breath away. It's looking back into the citadel, trying not to capture people in there, but you know, sometimes it's not possible. You can see some of the Inca trail, basically the stones that they use all around for hundreds of miles. Oh, I was attacked by this guy. I was taking a picture of it and I was getting close to it. I don't know what species this is, but it turned around and he came just right after me. That's the one on the right is when the last picture I took, when I ducked to let it go by. This is along the side of the mountain, going to the top. This is looking down. Again, looking down. I guess the people who have been there, the picture doesn't do any justice to this place. Again, some of the trails along the hills. These are the trails with the paved stones all around. Again, Machu Picchu from a distance. So it's all jungle around. And this is coming back. These are really gentle. You get close to them. They're labeled. You know exactly which number they are. Again, coming back into it. You can see the terraces. Again, continue to rain. I mean, the views are just incredible. What can I say? Again, looking down into it, it's something that basically takes the breath away. Can you imagine working there this way to build those terraces? I'm not sure how many people's lives were lost. And you can see the Otomba River to your left, the cliff, the side, the citadel. It's just incredible. So this is a little bit, then move to the right a little bit more. You can see more from the top. And then you can see moving to close up. You can see everybody has a clear cover because it was raining, it was pouring. I got soaked. A little bit more to the right, you see a little bit of courtyard. You can see a wider view on the top. You know, we're running out of time, otherwise I can spend more time talking about it, but that's another view.
You still have 10 minutes or so.
Okay, I still have some more stuff.
Yeah.
So this is, I guess, the way they look, basically, with the thatch roof. You know, some of the living quarters. You can see in the center, the orangey water because it was piling up. This is from the right-hand side. Another view. You can see the water rushing through here. It's my camera got wet. The front of the lens got smeared. I had a fisheye lens that I wanted to take more pictures, and some of the images got blurry because of that. So, see people taking cover. At terraces, incredible. It's just amazing. Ceremonial sites. The precision. I mean, this work, these angles. I mean, this is just continue to be amazed. Again, a little bit blurry. A view from the bottom. Again, more. On top of the world. This is the end. Basically, I ended up at the end, and my passport got soaked, everything got soaked, so I was drying them up in a coffee shop outside the Citadel. Oh, one thing, they don't have any bathrooms inside. If you need to leave, you need to stay outside for bathrooms. I can talk about it after this, but it's, so this is the view. The sun came out because it was cloudy. The sun came out, and that's an incredible view when I was sitting in front of the restaurant. It was around 5 o'clock. This was kind of the last buses that were going to take off. And driving on these buses, going up to, I had three thoughts. Should I enjoy the view, this glorious view coming up to? Should I take pictures? Or should I watch where the tire of this bus is close to the cliff? My heart pounding. So it's either, you know, it's kind of that uneasy feeling. So this is, I was ready to, not too late, so I didn't miss the last bus, but still trying to get down. When I noticed some people were walking So I found out that you could go down there, and the person told me, yes, in 40 minutes you'll be able to get back with plenty of daylight. I said, okay, maybe I can skip the bus, skip the car pounding. So this is the Camino Peatonal, or the hiking trail. You can see the zigzagging. This is the bus, but the one that is more straight with the arrow, that's the path that you take when you walk down until you get the river. So yeah, okay, let's take it. So then we go, taking that path down. It's all jungle, but the views, again, breathtaking. This is looking back into the trail, along the mountain. Again, the views, just take your breath away. But it started getting dark. It lied to me. So I ran into some other people. Everybody started running down because it was getting dark. So, it's pitch dark. I just enhance the picture. So we started using our phones to light the path. When we got to the river, it was pitch dark. And somebody used a searchlight to let us cross the bridge because we're not in the right place. When we cross it, we see a lot of, what do you call those ones? The flies, whatever, the one that light in the night, so whatever. So,
Fireflies.
Yeah, fireflies. So this is how we got into town, really late. It's a mile from when you cross the river until you get to town. And we met about 20 people using their cell phones too to light the path to the road for getting back into town. So that's it. That's.
Thank you very much. This was. I got lot of chat comments. First of all, just absolutely beautiful pictures everywhere. I wish we had more time because some of the pictures are worth seeing for a little bit longer than just like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I know it's too fast.
Couple of questions I have. I've been to Machu Picchu. I was there for a very short time, like 3 hours up there, and took the bus. We didn't stay in Caliente, so we had very short time. But how old is this ruin? When was this built? Do you know the history of that?
Well, I have my notes. I think it was in the 1500s, something like that.
I see. Okay.
Something like that, I believe so.
Yeah.
What camera and film did you use? Did I see that?
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, I use Nikon 3500. It's a consumer camera. It's not a professional camera, but anybody can use it. So it's a small camera, really light, and I use a zoom lens. It's 18 to 80, I think, something like that. 18 to 55. I took a fisheye lens, but I smear it with hand sanitizer and things like that, but I couldn't clean up. It was raining, everything was wet. I couldn't use it. So, because I wanted to capture the whole thing in the fisheye lens, and I wasn't able to do that. The ones I took were smushed, blurry, so they were not usable.
So you're saying that they'll let you take a DSLR, but it should not be a full format? It should be a crop or?
Well, the rule says no professional photography allowed. So that means that I've seen people in many parts here in San Jose, as soon as they see a DSLR with a long lens shooting somebody else, they ask me, do you have a permit? Automatically, they assume they are professionals when you have a DSLR. Most people have cell phones with them because cell phones are great these days. But there were a few people who took cameras like mine. There were not that many. But I did see some people with a Canon camera with a wide lens, big zoom lens, and they were lit okay. But they were just taking pictures. But if you have a tripod, you're kicked out of the park. Same thing with self-sticks.
And you had somebody taking pictures of you as well. So you had a partner, I guess.
No, I just handed somebody on the camera to take my picture.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a solo trip. Because the reason is I have only 7 days. I just wanted to maximize the time to visit as many places as I could and capture as much on film as I could. And but you're never alone, because I mean you're running to people from all over the world, and you engage in conversations. I mean, when you have a break, restaurants will have you. It's you always run into. You know, typically you had a tripod, you could use it, but no, it's just trust somebody with your camera and let them take the picture.
Oh, nice. How much post processing did you have to do on these pictures? I mean, they're gorgeous.
There were some pictures that I had to, because when I took some of the pictures, there was a lot of fog. I had to really decrease the amount of brightness in the images and sharpen them to see some of the stuff that you need to. Not too much. I mean, basically, the time was basically calling the pictures that didn't come out right, because I took about, I don't know, maybe 5,000 pictures out of there. So I show basically here about 350. So I called them down to about maybe 800. And so it took me about a week just to process them, but find my time, structure them, organize them, put them into different folders, things like that. I have more pictures that you know, especially the ones that I have little details from the doorknobs, some of the iron work on the doors. It's so much to see. I mean, I'm going back in April because I miss so much.
So how long? What season was that? What month?
April.
April. It was raining that much, huh?
Well, at the end of April is when the rainy season is supposed to end, but continues to rain, sprinkles here and there.
Yeah.
So you don't know. You don't know. When we went up there and it was completely full of fog, I couldn't see anything. I was out there and we couldn't see. I had about a group of girls behind me and some women behind me, and started sprinkling, raining, and the wind came in and cleared the fog. So then you could see the citadel, you can see the hills, you can see everybody behind me went like, oh, people started crying. I mean, it's just kind of a spiritual feel because you have the mountains right in front of you, the sky, the clouds.
So one of the earlier question was, is it seven? It's one of the 7 wonders of the world, you say?
Yes.
Is it a UNESCO heritage site also?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So they can't touch it yet anymore.
Okay.
If the rocks fall off,
I have a question.
they have to leave them there. There's no repairs anymore.
And there's so many people. I was there also, and there were so many people. That's a lot. I mean, this will just ruin the area.
When they build a new airport, it's minimum quadruple the number of people attended. So I could imagine this rural place building hotels, bus depots. I mean, the gas going to be used, the pollution. It's the roads they're going to be building. I mean, all the services, and not only the tourists, but the people who need to support the tourists. It's just, and I don't know. See, some of those flights into Cusco, they don't allow them. If this bad weather, the planes don't fly. You have to. If it's a storm, the planes don't fly.
Asim, do you have to add anything?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Roberto, what is the elevation of the peak Machu Picchu?
The Machu Picchu Citadel. Can I share the screen one more time?
What is the elevation of Machu Picchu peak?
Yeah, it's 8,000 feet. 8,000 feet.
Thank you.
The Aguascalientes is below, like around 7,000 feet. Cusco is about 11,000 feet, which it's really high altitude. If anybody hasn't been to high altitude, my recommendation is to go here locally to find out if it affects you or not. Tioga Pass in Yosemite, Mono Lake. It's really high, so anybody who wants to know, they can go there and see how it feels.
Actually, when we were there, we had the hotel in Cusco, and there were like three stories up was our room. So when you go up there, you are like breathing like you climbed the mountain. But we were fine. We were fine. I mean, we didn't have to take any medication or anything. But it's true, you have to take it slow.
I wanted to take the bus from Cusco to Machu Picchu, but then I read stories of many accidents, because of the way people drive and the conditions of the road. And I said, so I decided to fly. And when I talked to my doctor about it, says, well, you can take some pills, medication.
Yeah.
You're concerned. I didn't know if it was going to affect me or not. So that's, I need to go to these places and find out.
Asim, do you want to add anything?
No, it was beautiful pictures. Thank you, Roberto. There were a couple of questions, I think, from Tasadduk Bhai as to how much roughly the trip would be from the Bay Area.
I'm sorry, the plane ticket?
Yeah, the cost for the trip roughly.
I think I paid $800 round trip.
To Lima, right?
No, all the way through Cusco.
Oh, okay.
Okay, not too
because
bad.
It was Alaska Airlines to LAX, and from LAX, LATAM to Lima, and then another plane from Lima to Cusco.
It's a long flight.
It's a long flight.
Yeah.
So one more question for Roberto. That picture behind you, is that Capitola?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I recognize that.
Yeah, you've been there, right?
How is the weather there right now? In Capitola.
It's nice.
Okay.
You wanted me to go now, go there and have a margarita or something out there.
Yeah. Anybody has any other questions or any comments?
Yes, how high is the peak?
The peak is about 8,300 or 8,400 feet, I think. Less than 9,000, definitely. But there's a mountain that is 13,000 feet if you want to go there.
Yeah.
More than that. I mean, the highest peak is about 20-something thousand feet. Not in Machu Picchu, but in Peru. And it's just...
There are some in Peru. There are some high plains there where there are very accurate radio telescopes set up over there. That's and clear. So they want to see the southern sky. That's how they see it.
So see, let me just do this again here. This is the elevation. The highest mountain in Peru is 22,000 feet. Rainbow Mountain is 17,000 feet. Huyana Machu Picchu, right, it's almost close to 9,000. Machu Picchu, it's around 8,000 feet. Aguascalientes is less than 7,000. And Cusco is 11,300. Chinchero is going to be higher. So hopefully that helps.
Good. Thank you very much. And as I said before, if Chandni and Mehran opens up next month, we'll try to do it there. I hope that by that time everything is opened up, and like we used to do, that's what we'll do. Okay. Thank you very much again, Roberto. Thank you all for attending, and goodbye.
Okay.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.